production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation has a new president.
In Southern Gardening, Gary says head to a Christmas tree farm for a southern grown tree you'll love.
In the Food Factor, we'll have some tips for moderating your eating during this holiday season.
In the markets, corn and soybean ending stocks are reduced by the USDA. And all cotton production is sliced by government economists in Wednesday's reports.
In the feature segment, you'll be on Scott Field at Mississippi State University as we profile the institution's Turfgrass program. The undergraduate program teaches students to manage turfgrass for many purposes, such as golf courses and athletic fields. It also supports the turfgrass industry in the state.
These fields are built to take that abuse, take that rain, move that water, and still keep a good, safe, soft but firm playing surface that has very good footing. As you saw in the Auburn game, it didn't tear up, it didn't chunk out, it held and did what it was supposed to do.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
The Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation elected a new leader at its annual meeting on Monday.
Leighton, a Jefferson County resident, is the 10th person to serve as the organization's president since it began in 1922. He's a cow-calf operator who grew up on a row crop farm on the banks of the Mississippi River. More than 700 delegates participated in the annual meeting. 52-year-old Mike McCormick of Union Church defeated the incumbent president Randy Knight of Pelahatchie. Knight had served 4 years as Farm Bureau president and he was running for his third two-year term. McCormick has served many years on the local, state, and national levels with Farm Bureau.
I am wonderfully excited. I have such a passion for Farm Bureau, and if anybody that knows me and has been in any meetings with you can tell that I just have an overwhelming passion for this organization, and I can't wait to dedicate my life to it.
The Union Church resident grew up on a row crop farm in Jefferson County.
Primarily, I'm a cow-calf operator. I grew up on a row crop farm. My dad, with my get-on cousins, farmed a lot of ground over on the Mississippi River when I was growing up. But after he passed away, my get-on cousins continued to row crop farm, but we kept all the grounds in the hills that were mostly good for cow pasture or growing timber.
McCormick said one of his goals for the organization is to create a long-range plan that reflects the will of the membership.
The vision will be the membership's vision. I want to create a long-range plan. We're going to sit down with all the staff and the state board and the county presidents, and we're going to develop a plan to where we can better utilize our money and our resources to accomplish our goals.
Several awards were given out at the annual meeting. Jeremy and Beth Graham of Pontotoc County were selected as the Young Farmers and Ranchers Achievement Award winners. The Grahams milk 172 cows on this third-generation dairy farm. Carla Taylor was selected Farm Woman of the Year. She and her husband Bradley milk 100 Jersey cows near Boonville. Dr. Gary Jackson received the Distinguished Service Award. It's Mississippi Farm Bureau's highest honor. Jackson is the director of the Mississippi State University Extension Service. Mississippi Farm Bureau is the state's largest organization representing urban and rural interests. It has more than 192,000 member families.
Watching what you eat is difficult during the holidays when you're attending a lot of home and office parties. In this week's episode of The Food Factor, Natasha Haynes of the Mississippi State University Extension Service gives us some ways to avoid overeating during this holiday season.
Holiday celebrations are all about food, and it can be hard to watch your diet. Here are a few tips to avoid overindulging this holiday season. Eat a healthy snack or small meal before the party to avoid overindulging. Be choosy. Look over the food offerings. Save space in your meal plan for special holiday treats. Keep a food journal to help track carbohydrates and avoid overeating. Control the amount you eat by either limiting yourself to one trip through the buffet line or make the first trip primarily veggies and salad. Then your second helping could be smaller portions of heartier, richer fare. Bring a healthier dish to share. Consider revising a favorite holiday recipe by substituting lower calorie ingredients. Give yourself a gift of good health this holiday season by making smart food choices. You can find healthy recipes on our Pinterest board at Mississippi State University Extension Service. It's time to make healthy food a factor in your life.
Natasha says there are food journal apps for your smartphone to help you keep track of what you're eating.
Well, we're still in mid-December, but it's still not too late to get a fresh-cut Christmas tree. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bogman says you can find one at a local Christmas tree farm.
While growing up in Michigan, one of my favorite Christmas memories was going out to the farm to pick out the tree to bring home. Down here in Mississippi, many families have a similar tradition. Today I'm at Tom Lee's Christmas Tree Farm in Hattiesburg getting ready for the holiday season. The Tom Lee family has been growing Christmas trees since 1967. There are 3 varieties of trees being grown here that have adapted to our southern growing conditions. Leyland Cypress is one of the most popular Christmas trees grown in the South. The foliage of Leyland Cypress varies, but generally is arranged in irregular flat planes with a dark green to gray coloration. Virginia pine has been a workhorse for southern Christmas tree growers for many years. The short needles are arranged in pairs and add interest with their twisted structure. Consistent pruning results in tight branching. Carolina Sapphire is an improved selection of Arizona cypress. The gray-green leaves are plentiful and arranged close to the stems and appear scale-like. This tree is aromatic with a scent of combined lemon and mint. A Christmas tree farm is no different than any other farm. Each year, the Tom Lees plant at least 1,000 transplants for future years. As these trees grow, careful pruning transforms the trees into the familiar pyramidal Christmas tree shape. It usually takes at least 5 years of shaping and pruning to turn a scrawny transplant into a glorious family Christmas tree. You too can create wonderful family memories of that annual trip to cut your own Christmas tree. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Layton, remember that fresh-cut Christmas trees drink a lot of water, so check your tree's water reservoir daily. In our feature segment today, the Turfgrass Management Program at Mississippi State University. Its graduates keep golf courses and athletic fields looking good. Time now for the markets with Layton. And Layton, you say there was a bullish crop report for the grain sector?
And we are off the bat going to analyze some of the corn and soybean numbers in just a moment. Also in the markets this week, cotton traders seem to focus more on world numbers. Russia plays havoc with the wheat pit as DAP fertilizer production ends on the Mississippi coast. We begin with the December crop and supply demand reports from D.C. released at midday on Wednesday. There were some surprises for the corn and soybean sectors in those new numbers. Extension Ag economist Brian Williams talked about them during this analysis on Thursday. Brian, corn ending stocks were generally expected to be increased. What did we actually get in the numbers?
Right, they were expected to be increased by about 15 million bushels. That was what the market was expecting. We ended up 25 million bushels lower than that. They were actually decreased by about 10 million bushels.
Okay. Now what about the production forecast for corn?
Well, they kept the production the same. Usually the December report, we don't see a lot of movement in those production numbers, but maybe we can look forward in January. We might see some movement then.
Did ethanol from corn, did that generate any headlines out of this report?
They didn't move any of the ethanol numbers. They kept those numbers the same. It was still a little bit surprising though, looking at some other reports. Last week we saw a record ethanol production take place, and so there was possibly some expectations to see a bump in it, but it didn't actually come through.
Well, how is the market likely to trade near term as a result of this report?
Well, overall, it's a bullish report. With the ending stocks being lower than what was expected, it should provide a little bit of a boost to the market going forward.
So I understand, moving to soybeans, that those ending stocks are also dropped from a month ago?
They were. Soybean ending stocks were down about 40 million bushels.
And how is the market reacting to that so far?
Initially, the market reacted negatively to that. That wasn't really expected. The report overall can be considered more of a bullish report with the lower stocks. But as of yesterday, the prices were actually down a little bit.
And bean production itself increased or decreased?
They kept bean production the same as well. Kind of with corn. The December report, they don't usually move those numbers too much. They wait till January to make those adjustments.
And soybean exports, how did that fare?
Well, that's actually where all of the movement in the ending stocks came from. They boosted our exports by 40 million bushels.
And as far as price picture on beans in coming days, what might that happen?
Well, as I mentioned, the report was kind of a bullish report, so hopefully we should see the market move up a little bit in the coming days because of the boost in exports.
As for cotton, the Wednesday USDA report dropped all cotton production 3% from last month. However, that number was overshadowed by record-setting world ending stocks. Thursday morning, cotton futures did tick up on what has been a roller coaster month as far as U.S. cotton export sales. The weekly export report on December 4th showed sales had suddenly tapered off. However, the new December 11th numbers showed recovery with strong U.S. cotton export sales recorded. Well, the wheat market has been on a roller coaster somewhat due to news out of Russia. Despite ongoing huge global supplies, when Russia says it's going to reduce wheat exports, that is a big deal. And that's what they said last week. Analyst Naomi Bloom said this created the opportunity for catch-up sales.
And they're, of course, very dependent on what's happening with Ukraine to make sure that they have enough food for their people. So they actually said, no, we're really shutting it down. We're not going to do exports. And so that triggered a mass amount of short covering, blew some traders out of the water. And the market, we saw the Chicago wheat for the December contract get up towards that $6 area. So it's been a great opportunity for catch-up sales, and that's exactly what we're recommending on it because we have such a really still good supply of wheat.
Since that interview, talk has died down about Russia possibly limiting exports. As a result, March Chicago wheat is lower and catch-up sales are no longer as inviting looking. The trivia quiz is about water this week, irrigation water. How farmers use it has been a hot topic in this year of 2014. Here's the question: how much of Mississippi Delta farmland is furrow irrigated? A, 25%, B, 43%, C, 59%, or D, 70%? I'll have the answer at the end of the markets.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the rest of the markets. Lane Span reports a fertilizer plant has closed on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. In the feature segment today, the Turfgrass program at Mississippi State. Its graduates are in demand because growing it is harder than it looks.
From our family to yours, Mississippi's farmers believe the best produce and livestock are grown right here at home. With ms.foodsearcher.com, you're only a click away. Using your smartphone, you'll be connected to hundreds of families and small businesses dedicated to providing you with fresh, local foods. Produce, meats, fish, dairy, agritourism, community markets, and more are right at your fingertips, no matter where you are. ms.foodsearcher.com.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The 2015 Delta Ag Expo will take place Wednesday and Thursday, January 21st and 22nd. The location is the Bolivar County Expo Center in Cleveland. Managing profitability with low commodity prices is this year's theme. There will be more than 100 commercial exhibitors on hand. In addition to the regular commodity education sessions, there will also be an ag drone demonstration. Methods for controlling wild hogs will also be covered. Homeowners interested in integrating native plants into their landscape should attend the Home Landscape Design Jambalaya. That takes place at Picayune at the Crosby Arboretum of Mississippi State University. It takes place Saturday, January 24th at 11 a.m. The event is free for Arboretum members. It's $5 for non-members. You'll get a lot of garden design ideas and how to do it sustainably. Please register by Friday, January 23rd. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
The most common form of phosphate fertilizer for all major row crops is diammonium phosphate, known as DAP. A major producer of DAP on the Mississippi coast has shut down manufacturing. The Sun Herald newspaper reports the decision by Mississippi Phosphates Corporation will bring layoffs for 175 people. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection back in October. The newspaper reports the Pascagoula plant could eventually reopen under new ownership. Bloomberg News reported this week that the 2014 rally in hog prices is over. Concerns over the deadly PED virus are giving way, apparently, to an expanding supply of animals in the pork sector. Analyst Don Roos says this market is in a transition. He talked to Mike Pearson of Market to Market recently about the situation.
We're trying to move into bigger supplies as we go forward, and that's happening. In this fourth quarter, we could be unchanged up slightly on our total overall production. Weights remain large. In the first quarter next year, Mike, for example, we go up 1% on hog production. Second quarter, you go up 3%. And in the third quarter, you go up 7%. For the year, you go up 4%. So we're on the march higher. If you look at all the proteins, red meat and poultry combined, next year we're going to be up 1.6% on versus this last year on total meat. So, we are moving higher.
Before our new feature story, let's check the trivia answer for this week. The correct choice is D. Approximately 70% of the land in the Delta is furrow irrigated, according to the Mississippi Agricultural and Forestry Experiment Station.
In our feature story today, Farm Week's Amy Taylor says a lot of work goes into maintaining the beautiful green turf that we watch our favorite sports being played on.
Yes, artists, good sports turf must not only be pretty to look at, but must also be safe to run on and rugged enough to withstand heavy foot traffic. Mississippi State University has an undergraduate turf program and extension service specialists who dedicate their careers to researching and producing the best grasses for sports turf, home lawns, and roadsides.
When you visit a stadium or sports field to watch your favorite teams play, probably the last thing you think about is the grass they play on. But turf quality is one of the most important factors to ensure everyone's safety and also keep the facility looking presentable. Mississippi State University Extension Service Turfgrass Specialist Dr. Jay McCurdy says the turf business plays a large role in Mississippi's industry.
Mississippi has about 2.5 million acres of turf. About 2 million acres of that is roadside, so it's not really fine turf. I deal mainly with the other 500,000 or 500,000 acres of turf. A majority of that is home lawns. Some of that is also sports fields, recreation fields, parks and rec. And also includes high maintenance facilities. A lot of folks don't know that a majority of the turf grown in the state of Mississippi for sod is actually produced by family-owned farms. There's about 65 farms spread out around the state of Mississippi. It's a locally grown product, as locally grown as you can get.
Dr. McCurdy says Davis Wade Stadium is sodded with Tifway 419 Bermuda grass, a warm season grass commonly found in the southeastern United States. Chris Hussey, manager of Hussey Sod Farm in Tupelo, explains why Bermuda varieties are chosen for athletic fields, golf courses, and parks and rec.
Bermuda grass is a rugged grass. It can withstand lots of traffic, and even if you do have traffic damage, if you stay off of it, it'll recover and grow back in a lot quicker.
Hussey says Bermuda is a warm season grass, so it phases out in the fall. Therefore, MSU Sports Turf Superintendent Brandon Harden says it's important to add in ryegrass, which grows during fall and winter.
It's definitely year-round nowadays. You're not going to grow Bermuda grass into November very long anyway and keep it looking the way we want it to look. So we add in the ryegrass. This ryegrass blend is actually an 80-20 blend of perennial rye and chewing red fescue. We have to do it, as you can see, I'm in the shade. It's hard to grow Bermuda grass or any grass in the shade, and this Jumbotron shades out pretty much all of this south end zone.
Hardin says the material beneath the grass is mostly sand, which creates a safe, well-drained, level surface that can still be played on in the rain. And after a game, immediately recuperating the field is key.
These fields are built to take that abuse, take that rain, move that water, and still keep a good, safe, soft but firm playing surface that has very good footing. As you saw in the Auburn game, it didn't tear up, it didn't chunk out, it held and did what it was supposed to do. We use 419 Bermuda grass because it recuperates at a pretty high rate. And it might not be the fastest, but it does what we need it to here. We push it from the time that game's over with. We mow it, clean it up, get as much of the debris and everything off the field that we can, of course trash and everything too. Then we will come back down with some more ryegrass seed, very light, just to help fill in the divots. Little more ryegrass and then fertilize, and we will pound it with water to help try to get this recuperation back, as fast as we can from week to week.
By now, you're probably wondering if there's a way to save some money by just planting grass instead of purchasing sod. Chris Hussey says that's more complicated than it seems.
One of the main misconceptions is folks don't realize that most of the grasses we have are vegetative hybrids, and you have to have sprigs or plugs. It's not a quick and easy process to grow in from sprigs. If you do decide to plant, that it's almost like taking care of a new child at the house. You have to water it, nurture it, and take care of it to ever get it to the point to where if you put the money in on the front end, you can instantly have a lawn that you desire.
Hussey emphasizes that even sod requires some regular maintenance. In the spring, he plants the grass from sprigs or plugs, which are basically small patches of grass with roots established. Depending on the variety, it can take 3 months to a year before it's harvested for sod. Hussey has a roll cutting machine that cuts the sod and rolls it up so it can be unrolled onto large fields. Additionally, Dr. Jay McCurdy says research is continuously underway to develop new grass varieties and management practices.
Our turf program has a dedicated turfgrass breeder. His name is Mr. Wayne Philly. Wayne has developed a number of different cultivars, including the Bermuda grass cultivar that is on the Rose Bowl every year. That is actually Mississippi Choice, commonly called Bullseye Bermuda grass. We've also got a number of different grasses which are under contract with folks like Sod Solution and Turfgrass Group, and they're actually developing those for commercial turf use. A number of those are dwarf Bermuda grasses for putting greens and for use on golf courses. We're also developing things like St. Augustine grass for shade tolerance and for cold tolerance.
Dr. McCurdy says you're unlikely to get your own yard looking like a sports field, but you can maximize lawn quality with some simple tips.
Some tips are to get your soil tested regularly, to look at adjusting pH of the soil with lime or with sulfur. It depends what the pH is. Applying to fertilizer recommendations, which can be found at msucares.com. In our publication, which is Establish and Manage Your Home Lawn, is a great place to start.
Additionally, turfgrass and landscape professionals or anyone interested in the turf industry is invited to join the Mississippi Turfgrass Association. Brandon Hardin says the industry offers fulfilling opportunities to those interested in running a high-quality lawn care business, becoming a sports turf professional, or specialist. The undergraduate turfgrass program at MSU offers the hands-on experience and education students need for building lucrative careers.
It's one of the best, I dare to say, in the South, but in the entire country. We might not have the numbers everybody else does, but if you look around just the Southeast at the amount of superintendents, right now, just off the top of my head, I can think of 3 superintendents in the SEC for sports turf. That speaks volumes for our program here.
As MSU celebrates its 50th year of offering the turfgrass program, the future looks bright for developing new ways to meet the needs of consumers in the industry. From Mississippi State University, I'm Amy Taylor reporting. You can watch this feature story again on the Turfgrass program at Mississippi State on our Farmweek website, Facebook page, or YouTube. We'll have the contact information for the Golf and Sports Turf Management program, as well as how to get in touch with Jay McCurdy if you need some help with your turfgrass. We're also available at twitter.com/farmweek.
Amy, you said they actually paint the logos twice in 1 week.
Yes, I was really surprised to hear that. They go in on the Tuesday before a game and they shoot it with the paint, and that takes probably, at least a day. And then on, I think, the Thursday or Friday before the game, which is like 1 or 2 nights before the game, they do it all over again.
Like most things, more work than we realize.
Yes, very much.
Good story. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, we'll take you for a behind-the-scenes look at the creation of a statue.
Nobel Peace Prize winner Norman Borlaug has been honored with a statue placed in the U.S. Capitol's National Statuary Hall. Borlaug is credited with saving 1 billion people from starvation.
In Southern Gardening, Gary Bachman will have some beautiful poinsettias for us to see.
In the Food Factor, learn about some common substitutions if you run out of baking ingredients.
Before the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.